We're about to bring in the man of the hour right now, and I'm gonna go ahead and let Shen introduce him while we bring him in live.
Well, fans of Under the Mat Radio coming in live is former TNA talent, current Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion, World Tag Team Champion of the world, with Daniels. He is the Rebel. Daniels is the General of the Addiction. Frankie Kazarian.
What's going on?
Hey, what's up?
What's going on, man?
What's happening?
Alright.
Welcome, Kaz.
Kaz in the house.
Under the Mat Radio. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Thank you. Now I'm gonna turn it over to Anderson Game Boy and start everything off.
Right on.
Well, first of all, once again, as we all know, thank you for coming on.
Yep.
You are a very talented guy. I've met you many times in person, and I've always was admired the fact that your in-ring ability is superb. My question to you is the transformation that you went through, leaving TNA, going to Ring of Honor, and really just tearing down the house with Chris. You know, how was the transformation? You know, a lot of the guys, when they leave companies, you know, they feel like a piece of them are gone. They feel like, you know, they abandon, you know, their fans. Some fans come, some fans stay. You know, what was that transformation, man, and you know, that helped get you over that, you know, down that road back to success?
Well, I mean, we kind of saw the writing on the wall in the last few weeks and months at TNA, and kind of knew that we weren't going to really be there much longer. And but we knew we were going to continue to be a team. So, you know, there was never any doubt that the team was going to, you know, separate. So we just, you know, took what we did in TNA and took that to the next level, and that was Ring of Honor. And it actually revitalized us a lot being there, because there were so many new and different and young and hungry tag teams. So it really made us step up our game and kind of reinvent ourselves again, and I feel it's exactly what we did. So it was the transition was not that difficult, just because we had the awareness that it was coming, and we had the confidence in our ability going forward, and it made it relatively simple.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Kaz, I wanted to say, if that's okay, do you want us to call you Kaz, Frankie? What would you like for us to call you?
Whatever you want. Just no bad words, no naughty words, I guess. Frankie, Kaz, Kazarian, whatever. I'll answer pretty much anything, so yeah.
That's cool.
That was my question.
I definitely want to mention, Kaz, that I remember the beginning of Bad Influence in TNA. You guys at the time when you and Daniels was with TNA, you did a show in Bowie, Maryland, out, you know, at the baseball fields that y'all used to do. And I remember you guys was out, and this was before it was televised, and y'all was dancing, doing a lot of goofy stuff, just having fun, and I loved it. I remember saying, wow, these guys are great. They need to do this on TV. TNA or whoever they work for should give them a chance. So what I want to ask you is, one, how did the name Bad Influence come about, and how did you end up changing it to the current name, The Addiction?
Well, Bad Influence was always a name that I thought would be really, really cool for a tag team. It was a name that I used early on in my career, the very first few months of my wrestling career with another partner early on, but that didn't last. And I always thought it was cool, and it really fit the act that Chris and I had. So going forward, I thought Bad Influence would be perfect, and it was. As far as the name Bad Influence going to The Addiction, what happened was TNA ended up getting the rights to the name Bad Influence because they wanted to put it on T-shirts and sell T-shirts. And so we couldn't call ourselves Bad Influence. We kind of asked on our way out of the company, and they pretty much said no. So we said, that's okay, it's just a name. And, the next, we thought about it and pitched around a bunch of different names, but The Addiction was the one that fit us just as good as Bad Influence does.
Thank you for that. Turn it over to Shem Blade.
Hey, Kaz, thank you for coming on the show. One thing I kept noticing on Twitter that I want to know the answer to this because it's very, very funny to me. But you say that you and Daniels are the assholes of wrestling. Can you explain that to us?
Oh, that was kind of just a response to a Young Bucks tweet where they put out a tweet saying they're the sweethearts of wrestling, and so just a little tongue-in-cheek fun. You know, we said we're the assholes of wrestling, and you know we have no problem living up to that. You know, we are bad guys, and you know by nature it's kind of who we are. And I think wrestling needs assholes and villains, and you know people that aren't favorable, and people that have no problem being bad guys, and we're happy to fit that role.
Okay. Well,
thank you for that.
Also,
question.
Yeah,
good.
Also, I wanted to ask you, you know, since this is present, what is your opinion of the Dudleys now that they made a comeback in WWE, and you know they left TNA, long gone, and now in the WWE trying to make one last run? What is Kaz's opinion about that from wrestling?
I'm happy for both of them. They're both friends of mine. They were both at my wedding. They're very good dudes. Just you know, veterans, good guys to have in the locker room, and I think it's a good time for them to be up there now. I think a lot of the younger teams, younger talent can learn from them. And I'm happy they're back where they belong, you know, where they can maybe have some closure to their careers. I don't know if they're looking to hang it up anytime soon, but if they are, they're in the right place to kind of put a button on their career because they started there and had such a memorable run and became one of the greatest tag teams ever. So I'm very, very happy for both of them because I think that's where they belong.
Thank you for that. Want to mention too, tomorrow night, talk about Kaz, the championship edition of RH on TV, the Addiction, the Young Bucks. Talk about that.
Well, I mean, you got a great rematch in Roderick Strong and Jay Lethal, which are two of the absolute best of the game right now. And then you got the two best tag teams in the world, in my opinion, which is the Addiction and the Young Bucks. And it all comes to a head tomorrow on Destination America. And anytime we're in the ring with the Young Bucks, you can expect something special. Those guys are incredibly gifted, just super talented in the ring. And Chris Daniels and I offer something very unique as well. So it's going to be as always, in the Addiction and Young Bucks tie-up, it's going to be a great match, and it's on a platform that promotes best tag team wrestling, and that's Ring of Honor.
Before we bring in, if it's okay, Kaz, we bring in a couple of fans that want to ask you a couple of questions. Is that fine?
Certainly.
Sure. Gonna bring in now area code 814, Pennsylvania, here live, Under the Mat Radio with Kaz.
My question for Frankie is, how did your tryout match go, and do you have any memories of it when you wrestled in WWE against Chris Daniels in a tag team match on Sunday Night Heat in 2001?
Yeah, that was I don't think that was on Sunday Night Heat, but we did have a match. It was me and Nova against Chris Daniels and a guy named Mikey Henderson, and that was in Anaheim, I believe. It was in Anaheim, and that was when me and Nova were still a tag team, and we were actually going up there to get looked up as a tag team. And the match went over really well. In fact, I think it was too good. I think we did probably too much by their standards, and we broke out some really innovative stuff and got a great reception from all the guys in the back, and they all loved it. But, you know, you're just kind of told the same thing, just good stuff, keep on doing what you're doing. But I thought it went well. I had all my experiences going up there for tryouts were positive.
Thank you, Cheeky, for that question. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
All right, Kaz, moving on from wrestling, I want to get more about you personally. I see myself, fellow musician, I play bass guitar as well. Realize that
awesome.
She play bass also. So me being a musician, when I ask you, talk about how did you start playing bass, and what string bass do you play, and what kind?
I started playing bass. I got my first bass guitar in 1995. I always was interested in music, and the bass guitar just always drew me to it. It's just a very powerful instrument, and I like the groove, and I like the fact that it's the backbone of the band. My first bass guitar, my grandfather gave me, and it's an original 1966 Fender Mustang, which is my cherished guitar. I love it. Yeah, it's an original piece. It's awesome. It's in great condition. So I still have that. I'm in the process of kind of repairing that right now. Right now, my bass of choice is Ibanez SR 405 5-string bass. I also have an Ibanez SRE 320. That's a regular 4-string, and I have a Paco Rebelli acoustic guitar. But yeah, the 5-string Ibanez is the one I'm playing right now mostly. I just like that. I just love the feel of it. I love the action on it, and I love the tone. So it's kind of my go-to right now.
That's good. Definitely love it. My first bass I got back in 2002. It was a 4-string D Almond bass. It was all white and had a 5-band EQ. The soul still burns on that one. It lived to get long. I had to get rid of it. But my current bass was a gift from my uncle who plays professionally. It's a 5-string Washburn maple finish 5-band EQ bass that I currently play. But then actually I have an Ibanez amp, so something about Ibanez amps and Washburn amps I definitely love. So, matter of fact,
I love the sound. I love the sound of the Ibanez bass too. So, but hey, I'm also looking to get another 4-string, and I don't know if I'll go to a standard Fender P bass or Fender Jazz, or I don't know. So but I'm happy with what I'm playing right now.
Yeah, definitely. I started out 4-string, then I went to 5. I'm gonna stick with just 5 or 4. I like having the 2 pickups, which the P and the J, because I like switching. I like switching if I want to do jazz or with the P. So I like having 2 pickups on mine. Definitely cool. NSC Game Boy, our co-host Kaz does music as well. He's a rapper, and he also does a video of us playing music at Bill's. NSC Game Boy.
Yeah, I made a little quick segment showing off the talent of Tech. He told me before the show how both of y'all are bass guitars, and the fundamentals of that. I'm sorry, I thought guitar is a guitar, and then he tell me no, it's these different types, and then I'm like, oh, okay, I did. Growing up, the only guitars I knew, rock and roll and stuff, and movies, of course. I didn't know the in depth of picking out the strings and the amps and all that everything, and it's just really good to have that, I guess, that connection with other musicians and that appreciation. You really don't see that a lot of times with artists, just giving each other that appreciation, and because it's something that you love to do, something that you haven't forgotten. You probably don't have the time to do it, but you just haven't forgotten. So it's always a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I love music as much as I love wrestling, and and it's when you play with fellow musicians and friends, it's you develop relationships as close as you do with your fellow wrestlers and tag team partners and stuff. And when you're in the pocket with your band members and playing a show or just jamming or rehearsing or recording, it's a cool ass feeling, man. There's nothing like it, and it's I love playing and creating music. It's it's really, really another really cool way for me to get out my creativity outside of wrestling.
All right.
Oh, well, Kaz, I don't play a guitar, and I'm not a MC. I wish I can rap, but I'm a spoken word artist.
That's cool, man. It's all art. It's all art, man. It doesn't matter. It's all art.
But also I'm a saxophone player. I play tenor, alto, baritone. I haven't played soprano, so I'm about to take it up again a little bit, though, even though I feel like I'm too old to do it. But one thing about rock, I always wanted to ask you about this because I noticed it goes back to wrestling a little bit. I noticed that you and Daniel have 2 different characters in your tag team. he's the general and you're the rebel, and I just wanted to know, like, how did it come up of you becoming a rebel instead of becoming Kaz? Like, when did you started coming up with that? I think it's impressive.
Well, that's kind of a recent thing, you know. Like, I like the fact that Chris and I have two completely different, diverse characters. You know, a lot of times in tag teams, it's just two guys that look the same and kind of act the same. You know, we both have distinct, you know, things we like and distinct ways we act. And I've kind of just really started kind of run with this heavy metal rebel character, which is because it's just a real extension of my personality. It's, you know, heavy metal is my passion and love as far as music goes, and being a rebel, first of all, that's my son's name, and I like to look at myself as a rebel, and I don't think there's a lot of them out there. You know, somebody that's a real free thinker and a real critical thinker, and someone that's not afraid to go against the grain, because God knows I've had trouble with authority in the past, and I'm going to continue to stand my ground. So it's just, in Chris Daniels, you know, being a 22-plus year veteran, has earned the name Ring General, and it really just fits him. So I like that when you see the Addiction as a team, though we're a well-oiled unit, we both have the individual personalities that stand out for different reasons.
Well, that's impressive. I mean, I have to say that, you know, I love that in tag teams that the individual shows instead of just being team and matching colors and styles and moves, because you're not only a tag team wrestler, but you're also a successful singles wrestler as well. It brings me to my question. One of your finisher moves in TNA was one of the most devastating and death-defying moves I've ever seen, and it's the title of this episode, and it was the Flux Capacitor. Where in the world did you get that, and how in the world did people just say, okay, let's do that move?
Well, it was a move that Nova and I used to do as a tag team. We would both stand up there and do dual moonsaults, and the guy would do a front flip. And it was a move that was called the Spanish Fly, because I know a team called SAT, the Spanish announce team, they used to do it early in the 2000s. And when I started doing singles, when Nova got signed to WWE and I was doing singles, one match I decided to break it out because I had never seen it done just with one guy. So I decided to do it, and it definitely got a great reaction, and it's a spectacular move. So I figured I would go with it. I haven't really broke it out, mainly because it is pretty much as painful to the guy giving it as it is to the guy receiving it. There's a lot of margin for error, but yeah, it's one of those that I can always go back to if need be, if the match or the angle calls for it. But yeah, it's one that's it's always tricky. You never know what's going to happen. And I've done it off of cages, and I've done it, you know, to the floor. So it's definitely probably the riskiest move I do. That's why I kind of save it, and I don't like to overexpose it. I think guys that can do phenomenal moves maybe sometimes do them too much, and I'm not a guy that really does a whole lot of phenomenal moves in terms of flips and dives. But I do have that one, so I like to, you know, keep it in my back pocket, use it only when the situation really calls for it.
Oh, okay. Well, we have a question coming in from our co-correspondent, Tove.
Cool.
Hey, guys, I just had a question, something I was always curious about. I was always a big fan of you as an X Division star, but I remember towards the end of your TNA run, there was, I think it was one of those Thanksgiving Impact specials you guys used to do. It was a bunch of heels in the ring, and I remember, like, you were in the ring and the Bromans were in the ring, and I believe they were the tag team champions at the time, and they were sort of green, but they were getting better, and they got better, and I think someone said that the Bromans were like the best team, and I just remember seeing you and Daniels in the background kind of shrugging, like, okay. And soon afterwards, like, you guys were released, and it was sort of interesting because I remember, like, you guys were one of the best things on TNA, but yet they released you and they kept them. So if you're allowed to talk about it, was it just one of those things where they were just pushing them because they were younger and they figured you guys would just do the veteran deal? I mean, what was that? I mean, was there any resentment? You know, are you cool with the Bromans? There's just a lot of internet dirt sheet rumors about it, that's all.
Yeah, I never was not cool with the Bromans. They're both good dudes. It was TNA's decision to go forward with them as a team instead of us. And that's fine. There's nothing we can do about that other than say that we are a better tag team. And that's nothing personal against those dudes because they're both sweethearts and I like them. They both have improved leaps and bounds. And they were an entertaining act, but as a tag team, they couldn't touch us. And that's not that's just a fact. We're just all around a better tag team than them. So, and we always believed that, whether it was storyline or not. And but TNA at the time, the powers that be thought otherwise. So, that's fine. That's I don't know how it's panned out for them. I haven't really kept up with that product. I don't know if they're teaming or what the deal is. But Chris Daniels and I are the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. So, that should answer your question.
Okay. Now that you're in Ring of Honor, you guys are tearing it up in the tag team division there. Is there any particular person in the Ring of Honor you haven't worked with yet that you would like to?
Well, we've worked with all the tag teams there, which is saying something because those, the best tag team wrestling is in Ring of Honor, in my opinion.
I agree.
But, yeah, everyone in the roster I would love to mix it up with at some point. You got a guy like Moose who's tearing it up and really, he's improving week by week. I'd love to get in there with Jay Lethal again. We had some epic battles in TNA, and I think we could do the same here. And there's so many talented, really, really hungry guys there that literally anyone on the roster could put in front of me, and I'm thrilled to be in the same match with them.
Okay, thank you.
That's great.
Absolutely.
Kaz, we have want to ask you a question. We got a couple of fan questions via text.
Okay.
One I want to ask you, Kaz, is how do you being very successful being a singles wrestler, talk about the adjustment you had to go through of wrestling a singles match as opposed to wrestling a tag team match?
Well, a tag team match, you got at least one, usually three other guys to rely on because it's a very unique match. You can do so many things in a tag match that you can't do in a singles match. There's no real adjustment because I've wrestled singles my whole career up until 2012, and I had a couple runs with Nova and with Matt Bentley as a tag team, but Chris and I have gelled so well as a tag team that it's rare that we wrestle singles matches. But when I do, I can just transition back into that mode. But now I almost feel handcuffed as a singles wrestler because I'm so used and accustomed to having three other guys in the ring. And I personally think tag team matches are just so much more just entertaining from a fan standpoint. So I really prefer tag team wrestling. But if need be, I have no problem going back into singles mode. It's the transition isn't really a problem for me. It's just a different train of thought when your focal point is on one guy as opposed to two.
All right, thank you for that.
Yep.
We here really do appreciate Ring of Honor for, of course, having you and, of course, for having a good tag team division. Because you remember back in the 80s, tag teams ruled everything. You had the Road Warriors, and you had the Russians, and Dusty and Nikita, you had the Hart Foundation, and Demolition, and tag teams was great. And it kind of died off for a bit and started again. So we're glad that, you being the Addiction and the Young Bucks and Red Dragon, that we get to watch good quality tag team matches on a regular basis with you guys.
Yeah, it's you can't beat the tag team division of Ring of Honor, in my opinion. It's top notch right now.
Now, if you could do time travel, take you and Daniels as the Addiction currently right now, and someone took you back to the 80s in the NWA, what would be the one team you would love to go against and why?
Well, as our current act, I would have to say the Rock and Roll Express. Those were tremendous baby faces and tremendous wrestlers, and were just really, really believable baby faces. And I think that we could have some incredible matches with those guys. And they're just hands down one of the best teams that's ever been in terms of tag team wrestling.
Totally agree. NFC Game Boy?
Well, I wanna kind of turn the page a little bit and talk more about your personal life, if you don't mind. I know that you're married, and I know that you have your son, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I wanted to ask this question: with you being a married man and a father, and which I'm a father myself, how is it when you're doing shows and you're out there and you're performing as this character, and then when you come home, you have to be, yourself. You have to be, Frankie. How's the I guess I don't know if it's the mind state sometimes. Some wrestlers we've talked to, they still haven't, grasped that connection of, who they are in the role and who they are at home. Do you have problems with that?
No, not at all. I mean, who I am in the ring is just an extension of who I am. I don't. I'm very, very low key when I'm at home, and I'm just dad, and I'm just a husband, and those are the roles I like more than anything. But it's real easy just to turn on the Kaz, the heavy metal rebel character, because it's just who I am, and it's a lot of, I say and do a lot of things that I really, really feel from deep inside of me. And the red light is on when I'm at home. There's no red light on, and I'm just dad, and I'm just a husband. But no, that adjustment is real easy for me. I know, some guys kind of live the gimmick 24/7, but no, I'm happy just being a civilian when I'm at home and not in the ring.
And the piggyback off of that question, and thank you, Kaz, for that.
Yep.
The piggyback off of that question, what has been the most, I guess, touching moment that you've had with your son? What is the most touching moment that you can think of that you had the opportunity to share with your baby boy?
Man, that's a tough question, because you being a father, it's one of those, every day is a blessing, and every day I can just look at him and think that this is the most important thing in my life, and my big responsibility right now is to be the best man and the best role model I can. And even though he's only almost 3 years old, we've bonded over so much already, and there's just every day there's something that happens that just makes me so blessed and so thankful. But just the young boy that he is, and he's so polite and so thoughtful. That just really reassures me that we're doing our best and doing a good job, and the fact that he treats my wife and my mom and any lady or any person for that matter with the respect that he does just really warms my heart. You know how it is. It's just your kids, you cherish the ground they walk on, and it's just every day is an absolute blessing, man.
Well, thank you, Kaz, and thank you for sharing that. I know some people don't like talking about their personal lives and stuff, but I really appreciate. My son, he just turned 6 this year, and he's going to first grade, and I can't answer that question myself. Every time I'm around him and we do things, it's always just a new moment, because you watching them grow and you watching them learn, and you see your characteristics in your child, and you're just surprised, because you're like, wow, I've done so much and I brought this into the world. It really is just, it's unexplainable, and it's only something that you can only understand if you have children. So
right,
like I said,
absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that.
And I've always kind of been someone to kind of keep my personal life personal and my wrestling life public. I've always been real low key about that, but and that's just because I really cherish my time at home and away from the ring and with my wife and my son. It's that's my favorite thing is coming home after a loop of shows, knowing that they're going to be there waiting for me. It's just to have that stability and to know that they're going to be there, and you're right, you're your child's hero, up until he's until he starts developing other heroes, whether that be teachers or movie stars or athletes or musicians, whoever it's going to be, you know, you're the most important role model that little boy's going to have. So, yeah, I love being a father, man. It's cool.
Yeah,
yes, it is
a great thing. It is. If you don't mind, Kaz, of me piggybacking on family questions, something that we tend to ask all of the boys that are parents. We just asked Eric Bischoff this question and a few others. Is fast forward 18 years from now, 19 years, and Kaz, if your son says, "Daddy, I want to be a professional wrestler," what would your reaction be? Would you tell him no? Because some of the boys, you know, don't want their kids in the business, or would you encourage them to do so with your help?
Well, I would never tell him no for anything, regardless of what he told me he wanted to do or wanted to be. You know, the first words out of my mouth would never be no, because, you know, I want him to go out and you know, and take the world like he can and do what he wants to do and be the man that he's going to be. Wrestling has changed so much in the 17 years I've been in it, that I can't imagine what it's going to be like another 18 years from now. And in my opinion, and this is only my opinion, I don't think wrestling has changed for the better. I don't necessarily like the direction of that the business is going. So, God, in 18 years, I don't know what it's going to be like then. But, you know, so that's another tough question to answer. But if it's something he wanted to do, I would, you know, bestow upon him all the wisdom that I could, and I would, you know, make it a point that he would be trained the right way and by the right people. But like I said, in 18 years, who knows what that's going to be? I mean, you know, that's who knows.
True.
Yeah,
that definitely is true. If we can also add on to your answer, and thank you for answering that, is with us being straightforward guys like you are, we've met you a few times at Ring of Honor events, and we met you at House of Hardcore. You're not happy with how the business is going today. A lot of people tell us this. Some are legends. Some people are currently. We tend to hear that a lot. Me and this Game Boy can attest to that. And it's a current theme where a lot of people, they're not happy with the business of the direction of it. So we want to hear from you, Kaz, if you don't mind. Let us know briefly, why aren't you happy with the direction of the business, and what would you change if you could to make it go in a better direction in your eyes?
Well, I mean, I think the business has been overexposed. You know, I'm fine with everybody knowing that what we do is entertainment, and you know that's fine. I'm 100% good with that. But I just think professional wrestling as a whole has had its balls cut off, and I just don't think it's cool. I don't think it appeals to a younger audience anymore. I don't think it is hip, or you know, or it almost seems that major wrestling companies are almost begging mainstream media to pick up certain stories, and it's kind of embarrassing. I wasn't around in the territory days other than being a fan, but I imagine just the business was so much more beneficial to the wrestlers back then, because there was so many different places to work and different talent to work and different crowds to work in front of, and you know, I guess it's just the overexposure of the business is what bothers me the most, and the fact that it's, like I said, I feel like wrestling has been neutered by this, you know, politically correct PG environment that the whole country lives under, and that really just doesn't sit well with me. I prefer an edgier product, and I prefer, you know, a more outspoken product, and a product that doesn't, you know, have to confine its show to certain limitations because of political reasons, or because of sponsorship reasons, or you know, it just, I guess just the overexposure, to put it in a nutshell, to put a button on it.
Good answer.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that,
yeah,
Kaz.
absolutely.
Go, Sultan.
Hello, Kaz. We met at Ring of Honor. My question for you is, did you had a hard time dealing with Dixie Carter? And the reason why I asked is I was watching a shoot of you and Christopher Daniels that y'all had the idea to use Marvel stuff, but she kind of like shot down, like said, "Oh, we ain't gonna use that." But really, it was a brilliant idea. It could have bring a lot of merchandise for y'all and help this company out and use the sponsorship. And Marvel and TNA could have been working together with something.
Yeah, that wasn't necessarily a Dixie thing. That was kind of management that we had issues with, and but as far as working with Dixie, she was not difficult to work with at all. She was, in fact, I got along and still get along great with Dixie. She's a great lady, very, 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 very sweet lady, very giving. But yeah, I think that we have friends in the comic book industry, and we have friends at Marvel, and we were they were also wrestling fans, and there was a potential relationship, and Chris had already done some stuff, some voiceover stuff, and I had done some stuff as well. But yeah, we got in trouble for wearing Marvel T-shirts, and we got in trouble for wearing T-shirts with our own face on them that weren't TNA T-shirts, and but I guess a lot of that falls on us because we were told not to, and we did it anyways, and that kind of falls in the category of, like I was saying earlier, about being a little bit rebellious, and you call that a fault, call it a sin, call it what you will, but that's kind of why that happened. But no, there's never ill will or ill feelings. I think like I said, Dickie's a great business lady and a great person in general, and yeah, no hard feelings whatsoever. Management, however, I thought dropped the ball absolutely.
Ooh. Thank you.
All right.
Good. Good, Chef.
I have a fan question to ask you, Kaz. This is a question that I never even thought solved. I couldn't even answer them this, but he said that when you were in WWE and had your tryouts, they said one of the reasons why they didn't hire you was because you didn't cut your hair, but you cut your hair when you were in TNA.
No, that was people said that I lost my job because I didn't cut my hair, but I actually quit, and the hair had nothing to do with it. It was suggested, but it was another it was an authority figure telling me something and me saying no, which again has helped me a lot and has got me in a lot of trouble all throughout my life and my career. But that's so there's a little bit of truth to that, but that was about me leaving the company in 2005. Yeah, like I said, it wasn't the sole reason. It was the suggestion. I didn't like it, but I didn't like a lot of things. But like I said, me leaving WWE was 100% on me and 0 on them. That was all. I'm completely accountable for what I did.
Okay. Well, also, I'm glad you did cut the hair and everything, because I remember that I had a girlfriend like 10 years ago, and she was a very big fan of yours. Like, she just liked the looks and everything. And she kept calling you for some reason Antonio Banderas' little brother.
Yeah, I used to get that a lot. The long hair, I used to get that a lot. Almost ad nauseum, people saying I looked like Antonio Banderas and this and this and this. And I guess, it bothered me at first, but after a while, I'm like, well, he's considered one of the best looking guys in Hollywood, and so I guess I'm not going to let it bother me too much. So, so you're welcome for cutting the hair, man. I'll if I ever grow back, I'll give you a heads up to keep your girl in check. All right.
But also, you don't want to have Melanie Griffin, do you?
No, not necessarily. No. I'm good. I'm good in that department, man.
You should have had a Zorro gimmick. You could have been a tag team of Curry, man.
Oh yeah, I did Zorro for Halloween a couple of years, but that's as far as that went.
Okay.
Thank you for that, Kaz. Go ahead and see Game Boy.
Well, Kaz, I'm a former professional video gamer. I've been playing video games for 20 years. And I know that you have a strong distaste for video games. I know you're more of a comic book person, which I am also a comic book guy. But I wanted to ask you, why is it deep down inside that you have this distaste for video games? Is it Is it something that happened in your childhood, or is it just something that just never really you felt like you caught on?
No.
And
No. I don't have a distaste for video games. Not at all. No. That's misinformation. In fact, I enjoy video games. But having said that, I was a child of the '80s, so I came up with Nintendo, which I love, and progressed with Sega Genesis and first PlayStation and Xbox and so on and so forth, and was pretty into video games up until about when my son was born, to be honest, because I literally just didn't have the time that I used to have, especially being a husband and a father. You don't have the time you have when you're single. When I was single, I really enjoyed all the Star Wars Battlefront games. I enjoyed Madden. I've purchased Jumpman Football every year it came out up until the last 2 years. And even going up into the more recent, I love the Red Dead Redemption game. I love that. I loved all the Star Wars Lego games. AJ Styles is one of my best friends, and he's a huge gamer, so he would bring his console on the road, and we'd play, and we'd have Madden tournaments. And I enjoyed it up until, like I said, until my son was born, and it's just a matter of not having the time, between being a dad, a husband, being in a band, being on the road. It's just I don't have the luxury of sitting down and giving a couple hours to video games. If there were more hours in the day, I would probably still be into it. As much as I was. I was never a hardcore gamer, but I definitely enjoyed kicking back a few hours a night and knocking out some Madden or doing something. But I definitely don't. There's no detestment for video games at all. In fact, I dig them. I think they're cool. I don't have the time, and now I probably would suck at them because I'm just out of practice.
I just want to say real quick before, excuse me, fellas. I had a feeling that information was wrong. I'm sorry that I brought it up, but I'm glad I did because I needed the clarity and everything. And you know what? Being a father, I completely understand.
Yeah.
Said, go piggyback off what I said earlier. When you have children, a lot of things you just don't really have the time or the interest in it anymore because, you're talking about the game of life now. And, when you have a child, that's a big step. And that's a big game. And it takes a while. So,
and having said all that, once he reaches the age where he finds those things interesting, I can then, reconnect back into the video game world.
There you go.
And that's another thing we can bond over. And I'm still a kid at heart right now anyways, and I think I always will be. So, the more my son starts liking things that I love, like Star Wars and comic books and music and video games, that's just something that I get to play with too, basically. So, give me a couple years and I'll probably be right back in the thick of it.
All right. Thank you, baby. Thank you. I greatly appreciate that. Fellas, I'm back to y'all.
Go ahead, Shed.
Actually, he brought up his band. I know we're going all over the place about this, but
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, we like to have you on in the future anyway, so I want to ask you about your band. I think it's like you, isn't it like you and Sabin and a couple other people?
No. That's Sabin used to have a band with Alex Shelley and Petey Williams and a couple of their other buddies up in Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah, my band is just me and four other of my buddies and pals from up here where I live in the desert in California.
Oh.
Okay.
All right. Well, sorry. Go ahead, Cass.
What's that?
I said, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah. I was just these the guys I play with now. My band's called Beck Temper, and we're one of the guys I've known since third grade, and the other three guys are guys that I've just met in the last 5-10 years, just playing music, and they're all incredible musicians and just dudes that love to play music and heavy metal and rock and roll. And we're in the process of recording a demo right now, so hopefully we'll have about a 4 or 5 song demo out in the next 2 to 4 months.
Oh, so you'll be like Jericho almost.
Yeah, just not on that level yet. I mean, he's like, but in that same vein, he's a singer and a front man, and I'm a just a bass guitarist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but in that same vein, he started from scratch. He started at the bottom, and he's turned but Fozzy has turned into an incredible band, and that's because he knows he comes from the wrestling world and the entertainment world, and he's very passionate about rock and roll as well, and he knows what you have to do to be an entertainer and a great performer. The same thing. I mean, I have a good sense of how the entertainment business works, and I think I really bring a lot to the table in terms of that with the band. And same thing. It's just we're doing it all on our own. We're doing all of our own recording, all of our own mastering and mixing, and it's fun. It's just like I said. It's something I enjoy doing as much, if not sometimes more than wrestling.
That's what's up. Even doing their own engineering.
Also, I wanted to ask you, between wrestling and playing bass guitar, which of the two did you get more groupies from?
Well, zero, since I'm a married man.
Well, before.
Before, we've only just recently started doing live gigs, so I didn't really do a whole lot of gigging as a single man back in the day. I think like I was going back to wrestling losing its cool factor. Rock and roll is always going to be cool, and there's always going to be that element of around rock and roll in terms of groupies and stuff. Wrestling, maybe in the Attitude Era, it was good, but rock and roll is always going to be cool, rock and metal, So I'll let you guys, determine yourself what you think.
Well, hopefully one day, Kaz, me and you can have a bass battle. Definitely.
Hey,
one
man,
day.
Let's do it. Or
bring my bass.
Even better yet, a collaboration, man. I don't believe in musicians battling. It's all art. It's all subjective. I would rather collaborate than battle, my brother.
Well, we'll have our media assistant send you the video of me on my bass, and then you can send us a video of you playing your bass. We can hook up.
Sounds good, man.
Speaking of that, real quick, speaking of bass and music, what's some of your favorite interest themes of all time in wrestling?
Repeat that, I'm sorry. One of my favorite what? Interest themes?
Interest themes in wrestling.
Off the top of my head, the Ultimate Warriors. Because growing up, the Ultimate Warrior was one of my favorite wrestlers. And one of the huge reasons was because he had the first real interest music based around like a heavy metal chugging riff. It was so recognizable instantly, and I just loved it. And even today, it holds up. It just got a catchy, hooky riff, and I loved it. So that's probably my favorite of all time. But a couple other ones I think were really, really good was I really enjoyed the Brood's entrance music. Definitely not heavy metal, but just that really captured the attitude of that group, and it was just so cool and creepy and just kind of but it had a swagger and a beat to it that you could bob your head to. It was badass. It was super cool. There's been some, especially nowadays, especially WWE's incorporating some actual real acts and real rock and metal bands into some guys' entrance music. I think that's super cool. But their music guy Jim Johnson has done a tremendous job, and I don't know if he gets the credit he deserves for providing that background that the WWE's had for so long. I mean, that guy's created some absolutely incredible music, and I hope someday he goes in their Hall of Fame, because that dude deserves it more than a lot of people, in my opinion. But also another great entrance music, and this is completely on the other side of the spectrum, was Jive Soul Bro by Slick. That one and the Demolition Song by Rick Derringer also was super. I loved that as a little kid. Again, same thing. It was just demonic and heavy and chugging and just in your face, and great vocals and Rick Derringer screaming, and it was just awesome. It was awesome. But yeah, so those are some of my favorites for different reasons.
Thanks for that, Kaz. We do thank you.
Yep.
Of course, off topic, before we let you go, I know you're a big Walking Dead fan, just like we all here. Definitely loved your post on Twitter where it's a picture of Herschel's body holding his head. I thought it was hilarious. Walking Dead is premiering, of course, in next month. Libra season, of course. Hi. Shout out Dennis Game Boy on that.
Yep.
Who do you relate to more, Kaz, if you could, of anybody in Walking Dead?
That's a good question, man. That's a really good question. I guess it would be. I'd have to say partially Shane and partially Rick. I would hope that I could be the leader that Rick has been if the zombie apocalypse ever happened. I'd hope that I could keep a group together and keep the people alive. But, on those early couple seasons, there's a lot of things that I kind of agreed with Shane that, he was a little more, straightforward and a little more, ruthless than Rick was. But a lot of times I thought that's kind of how you had to be. But Rick is a great leader, and he's someone I hope I could be like in the event of the zombie apocalypse. I know the cool answer would probably be Daryl, just because he's very, very cool character and a beloved character and a badass and a bit of a rogue himself. But yeah, I liked a lot of Shane's ideas. He didn't necessarily go about them the right way, but he had a lot of good ideas. Just kind of lost his way towards the end, but Rick is the conscious of the group, so yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that.
And you gonna play the Punisher?
Yeah, actually, yeah. Not sure if you know, Kaz. The guy who plays Shane in Walking Dead is playing the Punisher in Daredevil
John
season 2.
Barenthal. John Barenthal. Yeah, I think that's great casting. I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be cool.
Yeah,
of course, it's going to be better than that Punisher movie with Thomas Jane and John Travolta.
Or better than the one with Dolph Lundgren too in the '80s. If anyone remembers that, one.
Do you know that's the first rated R Marvel movie? A lot of people don't know that.
I did not know that, but that makes sense.
That's the first rated R Marvel movie.
I guess rated R for the violence, because it was pretty violent. I remember it. I don't remember a whole lot about it other than it was Ivan Drago playing the Punisher and killing a bunch of people. So.
Hey, Kaz, were you a fan of Punisher Warzone?
Was that the sequel to the most recent one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. And it was one of those was okay. I didn't necessarily remember hating it or loving it, and I only saw it the one time, just thinking like, okay, it was it was what it was. Nothing jumped out, but nothing jumped out as being especially rotten either. So, it's a movie's got to be really bad for me to remember it for being rotten. So that one didn't necessarily hit that mark.
Okay.
All right, well, of course, Kaz, it's been an honor. It definitely is. We're going to do what we call a plug party.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, brother, plug everything that you need for your next appearances, how to reach you, social media, before we let you go.
Cool. Well, of course, Ring of Honor this Wednesday, Championship Edition. Don't miss that if you like good wrestling. I'm assuming you do if you're listening to the show. For bookings, I can be reached at kazbookings@gmail.com. My Twitter is my name, really simple, Frankie Kazarian, @FrankieKazarian, and I'm pretty active on Twitter. That's pretty much the only social media that I'm active on, but I am very active on that. My band is Vex Temper. At Twitter, it's @VEXTEMPER, and that's about it, man. That's about the ways to get in touch with me, and we'll be in San Antonio for the Ring of Honor pay-per-view, All-Star Extravaganza, September 18th, and television taping the next day.
All right.
That'll
work.
Right on. Game Boy.
Frankie, thank you so much, brother, for coming on, giving us your time, getting the fans a little bit more in depth outside of the ring, outside of Ring of Honor. Check him out tomorrow. I know you're going to do well, and I just want to say continue being that great father, As he grow up, the moments are just going to fly by. My oldest is 12, and actually I'm texting her as I'm having this radio interview with you. I'm texting my oldest girl, and she's listening and she's just laughing because we talking about family. Just have as much fun as you can, brother, because one day you're gonna turn around and it's just gonna get big, and you're gonna wish you had those moments. So it's good that you're influential and you're there, and you're enjoying. This will be the golden years. This is your attitude era right here.
Yeah,
you got a long way to go.
Man. I appreciate that, dude. Absolutely. I mean, I'm already having those moments. So that's, like I said, that's more important to me than anything right now. So I appreciate that, brother.
No problem.
All right,
no
Kaz,
problem.
it's been an honor. Thank you, and look forward to having you again back on the show soon.
Thank you, guys. We'll do it again.
All right, no problem, man.
Thank
Take care.
Take care.
Right on.